Everybody, listen up. I am here today with the Joy Vila. Joy, I think that you and I are going to make the group think cry today.
I think so too. We really are. First of all, there's too much sexiness here, and then there's too much smartness, and then it's gonna minds.
Really quickly, Joy she's an activist. She is a recording artist, an author. We're going to talk about her new book. She is somebody who, whether you agree with her or not, you cannot deny this woman. She says what she thinks and she thinks what she says. And she's a badass bitch. Okay?
Thank you, Taylor.
You're against the grain. You are. You're against the grain, and we're going to get into that. Name for me one thing that we love more in 2020 than putting ourselves and each other in boxes.
Oh, you know what? I say nothing, because it's all about labels. It's all about boxes. It's all about, you have to fit this category, or I'm going to erase this category, like gender. We're erasing gender now, except for when we say women are better at things. But gender still exists, but like it doesn't, but not really. And then sexuality, everything's a spectrum except for politics. You're either pro, the left, or you're a racist, misogynistic asshole, basically, right?
That's it. Here's the thing, everybody. Here's the thing. You could, and we all know this, you could do something as simple as like something on social media. You could like a comment. Suddenly, people think that they know your blood type, your social security, your stance on gun control.
I'm a conservative. I don't expect everyone else to be. I authored a book called Kickass Conservative, but it's like consistency is one thing, but being locked in a prison where it's an echo chamber where all you do is like only certain amounts of posts and you never read the other side is horrible.
It's where we're at. And listen, we're going to get to your boxes, Joy. No pun intended. Okay? Because we know you have them. We know you have them.
I got a nice
box. For me, I am even put in a box constantly as a journalist, right? For those of you who don't know, I'm an entertainment, red carpet reporter, and naturally, that's the mainstream group ass media thing. And I challenge one goddamn thing. Suddenly I get, you can't say that. Go be on Fox News. I put in a box. I was in Playboy in a spread.
That's right. That's right. Which is awesome.
Thank you. But what kind of integrity do you have as a writer? We're all about the boxes. Now, Joy, your boxes. Let me lay it out. Joy is Black. She's Latina. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, she's a recording artist. She's also in Hollywood. Yeah. She has these tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
Right? All this art. She's a woman. And yes, you have a book coming out, Kickass Conservative. Joy, you can't be all these things.
I can't be. How dare I? I'm also a pro-Trump conservative and voted for him and looking forward to voting for him for a second term this November. Pro-life, pro-God, pro-religious freedom, these are the things that I've maintained. And now I actually came from the left. I was #feminist, gun control. When I look at some of the posts that I used to do, some of the t-shirts I used to wear, I talk about that in my book. I have this whole little chapter in my book where I talk about feminine, not feminist, where I identify as pro-woman, because I've moved away. First wave feminism got us the vote, very important, and got us away from being property of our husbands and forced to be married and not getting education. Extremely important. Second wave feminism said, listen, you don't have to go, and get married right in the 50s and 60s. You can, go to college, you can be free, voting, all this stuff, continuing that. Third wave feminism and fourth wave feminism now says you have to wear blue hair, be ugly, and hate men, and be fat. That's why I feel like all I see from it, and I'm not trying to body shame, but I'm just like, the people that I see who are telling me to celebrate womanhood look so unhappy. And then you have a handful of paid Hollywood actors, right? As you know, being a journalist, are like, yes, I'm a feminist. And like, yes, I love it. Meanwhile, they're doing things that, is not pro-woman behind the scenes to get the roles that they get. The hypocrisy is real. The hypocrisy is real. And
it's so real. Even on the physical plane. This is again with the boxes. Joy's literally looking them at the face and being like, fuck you. She's in a sports bra. She's got tats. You do not look at Joy and think conservative. You think someone who is all nice and ladylike.
Shops at LL Bean, pearl wearing, you know what I mean? That I always talk about the pearl clutching conservatives because I will talk about those too. Listen, there's room for everybody out here, but that's not the only conservatives that should be shown. There's a new conservative party. It's a new wave where LGBT is prominent. Black lives are prominent. Latinos are prominent. We have, immigrants who are prominent, who are proud to say, no, I'm not going to kneel for the flag. I'm going to stand for the flag. I'm going to stand for the national anthem. I'm going to stand up for my president and my nation because I came here for the American dream. I fought, bled, and, spoke for the American dream. My ancestors fought to be equal. Now we want superiority. We want Black lives to be better. We don't want them to matter because they have mattered, but we want them to be better than others. We want to, make white people feel bad, feel shame. Oh, you're so red. Like when you said you get, you didn't say discriminatory because you're so not a victim. That's something I love about you. But when you say you get judged for who you are, I can already see Playboy model, former Playboy model, attractive, blonde, young, well-spoken, and white. Your privilege is showing, right? How many times have you gotten, you're only there because of your privilege, not your hard work. They don't know how you lived your life. To tell you that all your hard work doesn't count, and just because you were born in a certain color, and that's the only thing that matters, that's racist. That's racist.
And even the women thing, I've talked about it so many times on this podcast. In my opinion, we're bashing men. That's not equality. That's not equality. Now, and I've tried to get pieces like this published, arguing this very thing, having high, profile, prominent people speaking to that. Yeah. They don't get published, Joy. Gee, I wonder why. Now, speaking of not getting published, I have a story for you.
Oh my gosh.
Okay? So I don't know if you remember this. I actually interviewed you, Joy, at the Grammys last year.
Oh
on the red carpet.
God, you did. Wait.
Okay.
You did.
So get a load of this. So you guys, Joy is also known for her really controversial dresses, especially at the Grammys. Now, last year, Joy, your dress was literally, it had the barbed wire. It looked like a wall, and it said, "Build the wall." And I was like, I have to interview this girl. I have to. Okay. God. I was there for New York Magazine, which we know is a super liberal mainstream, right? Beautiful interview with you. Beautiful interview, which we're going to get into later. Joy, do you think they published it?
They didn't publish it just because me.
Gee, I wonder why.
A celebrity. I've hit number one on the Billboard charts, number one on iTunes and Amazon. I have a number one best-selling album. Okay, also Beyonce, Adele, and Lady Gaga for that week in March 2017. I toured 35 countries. I'm an independent artist. Why wouldn't that be interesting? Just because you disagree with my politics. In fact, they should have published it because they would have got so many clicks. That's crazy. That's censorship.
And Joy, that is.
And you as a journalist,
thank you.
being impartial, just interviewing a celebrity on the red carpet.
I talk so much about being censored and being silenced and being quiet. Yes. And you know that it's not always make that person go away if they don't agree with you. It's, I'm sure, Joy, you've had experiences not being invited to things, not being invited onto panels. Your stories, such as my story about you not getting published. How many times? How many times?
So many times. I've been told to my face, I've been blacklisted from certain events. And I've gotten into some events anyways, because I know people in the industry and I'm kind. I'm kind to everyone. If you disagree with me, I'm still going to be kind to you, But this blows my mind. It's funny. As soon as you said I interviewed you, it's like the picture of your face, because I knew you looked familiar, but I was like, oh, maybe it's just because I've seen your podcast and I listened to, some of the stuff you've done. And, we got to know each other off the camera. And we were chatting. We have a lot in common, which is amazing. And then I was like, oh, shoot, yes. Because I remember you recorded it, right? You revoked.
Yes.
You recorded it. That's right.
Yes.
It was in a huddle with a couple of other reporters.
Yes.
Probably, I think there was Us Weekly and like LA Times, and then there was you. And I think all of you, probably none of those things got published.
See what I mean?
Variety magazine actually published a quote this year at the 2020 Grammys, and I wore a Trump 2020 dress with "impeached and reelected" on the back, latex by Desi Designs Couture, who designs all my dresses. And Variety magazine actually said it would not be the Grammys without Joy Villa in a pro-Trump dress. That was the first time they said something like that. All of it's the so-called singer, the Trump supporter, wearing this tacky thing. They're always like, you know, and I'm like, whatever, you're writing about me. I don't care. Am I on that carpet for attention? Of course I am, just like everyone else. The difference is I have a message to talk about and proclaim.
I'm sure there are people who already, to this point, they're like, click, I'm not going to listen anymore, right?
Yeah, they're already like, that Trump bitch, you're canceled. You're already canceled, Taylor, for having me on, for daring.
People are going to label you. They're going to say, oh, Joy Villa, oh, pro-Trump, next, click.
Yeah.
Guys, look at this, okay? We're breaking out of the box right ass now. And I want to get your take on this too. Somebody who has become, I feel like, such a crusader on the, you know, mainstream side in entertainment is Ava DuVernay, right? Mm-hmm. And I've interviewed Ava, and okay, this is going to be controversial for me to say because I know she's like the, you know,
you can't touch her. She's
end all be all.
Filmmaker. You can't say anything about her. She's a protected category.
It's the truth. She posted about the election, and she said in her caption, "I'm sorry, there's no room for debate on this. There's no room for debate." There's no room for debate. You're a filmmaker.
Okay.
I feel like that's another Hollywood hypocrisy, right? Joy is like artists and filmmakers. It's all about bringing different stories and perspectives to the table.
Diversity, but not diversity of thought. They'll shut down your voice. No, because you're a racist, homophobic, misogynistic. So it's their moral right to shut you up. So they're, you know, Antifa, their whole thing, Antifa, right, is anti-fascist, is like, oh, we don't want fascists. So we can hurt fascists, like punch a Nazi. So if I categorize you as a Nazi, I can then say it's okay to elicit violence against you. And who's a Nazi? Anyone who disagrees with them. Hollywood is like that. You know, that's why I come out, yes, with middle fingers blazing, because I'm a hardcore Trump supporter, because I met the president. I know the president, and I love what he's doing for the Black community. I know a lot about politics, but you just question it. Independents, I know, moderates, even Democrats, moderate Democrats are now getting iced out.
It's detrimental to democracy, free speech.
Yeah.
Ava DuVernay, you're creating art that people are watching about the human experience, and that's the hypocrisy. All about diversity, this, that, yet there's no room for debate to hear the other side. So I'm confused, which is it?
You know what? She actually blocked me on Twitter, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, so she definitely she blocked me about a year ago. Never met her in my life, but, you know, I'm also an actress, and I did a feature film called The Contrast, which should be coming out next year. And they sought me out because it's a conservative filmmaker, Chris Johnson, and the film is a romantic comedy. It's independent. And he loved my bravery. And I was like, this is the dream. Being a woman of color, getting powerful in the industry in Hollywood, using my voice to help and change. I love diversity of thought, not just color. So knowing that this woman blocked me when she literally has the same thinking as I do as far as filmmaking, it goes to show you that just because someone's like, oh, I'm all about the struggle and I love people of other people of color, women of color, I want to support them. Only when it makes them look good. Because as soon as you find out somebody like me is a conservative, all of a sudden all bets are off. And you can now call me every name in the book. You can shame me. You can block me. You can try to blacklist me. And that's sad. I've been attacked by other Black celebrities quite a bit in my career.
I mean, in my experience as a journalist, and I see all sides, which we were talking about before, Joy. I'm not one side, I'm not this side. I'm just sort of calling out the bullshit and calling it as it is. And I have a hard enough time pushback from editors, getting DMs, you can't say this. And I know it's, you know, when I talked to you on the red carpet at the Grammys, you said, I just do my thing, I push forward, but I can't imagine that doesn't get under your skin, getting ostracized, getting blocked by Ava DuVernay. I mean.
Yeah, it's true, Taylor, because it did get under my skin when it first started happening, because I've worked so hard to make it in this industry. I ended up producing and creating my own album that I wrote in the UK, which was I Make the Static. I ended up joining the recording academy, all before I blew up on politics. All of this had already happened. So that when 2017, when it happened, suddenly people bought my album, which was already 3 years old, and it shot it up the charts. But I had already been hustling. So to work so hard for something that I love, modeling, growing up doing the acting, being told, you know, cover the tattoos or straighten the hair, take the flower out, less makeup, more makeup, too sexy, not skinny enough, too, you know, not sexy enough, you know, too thick, not thick enough. All of these things for years, to finally have made some success on my principles is the most incredible thing I could possibly ask for. But when all of that tries to be taken away from you by hate, by shame, I spent many nights crying in my pillow because it felt like everyone just hated me. And I chose to push through. By the grace of God, I pushed through, and I said, you know what? Fuck them. I'm strong. There is a reason I'm doing this. Why am I doing this? Because it helps others and because I fucking want to, right? So I kept doing it, and here I am today. I mean, does it get under my skin? Sometimes, but is it also fun for me now? Yeah. I'm like, if I'm pissing you off by being myself, it's your problem.
I need to take on that attitude, because as I do this and as I continue on this path, I mean, I've never been one to kiss celebrities' asses ever, even in my interviews. But now that I'm really calling it out, I'm like, well, gee, I don't know how if I'm going to be welcomed to Hollywood back with open arms, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you really inspire me. It's a risk you have to take. And I mean, you guys, Joy has gone on red carpets with not only Build the Wall dress, you had a dress one year with an unborn fetus.
Yeah.
Like she is going there. It's in your face. And to have that kind of, again, whether you agree or not, to have that kind of bravery. And we know in Hollywood, it is tough. It's tough. You'll get ostracized, and and it's also like everything has to be like, your statements are bold. Let's take it to like even one little comment. And if it's not PC, so not to rag on her, but to bring it back to Ava.
Yeah.
I interviewed her when she was promoting A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh,
and
wow.
I want to get your take on this, Joy, as a Black woman who's in entertainment, because at the same time, Black Panther was crushing it. And I asked her something along the lines of, you know, what does this moment feel like that two, you know, movies helmed by Black directors and about Black excellence are crushing it right now? And she took issue with it. She took issue with it. And she was like, well, I think what you mean to say. And it's like, for people, it's like, you can't say the right thing. You can't say the right thing.
You really can't. And I thought being, you know, protected, my color does give me actually a little bit of leeway, because when I go to Hollywood parties and events, I'll just be chilling and we'll have great conversations and they'll love me. And then someone will bring up politics and I'll be myself and I'll be honest about it. And then they'll go, oh my gosh, you're that girl. And suddenly the air is different. But at first, they assume I think like them because the color of my skin, the texture of my hair. They're like, yeah, woke sister, Black power, yes. Hey, you know, I've heard, you know, a lot of, unfortunately, Black guys will be like, oh wow, she looks so woke, but she's so stupid. Like all of a sudden, right? And then Black girls will be like, oh yeah, you're not really for us. And it's crazy. There's colorism, right? I've always been told I'm too light skinned because I'm mixed. I'm Latina. I'm not Latin enough, but then I'm also not Black enough to be considered Black. I'm light, bright, light skinned. So I've had all these things. So I've always been like, you know what? I am me. And now, of course, since race is such a big thing, I'm like, yes, I am Black. I am Latina, right? Like and I am. And I'm Italian and I'm spicy and this is what you get. But it's funny because I've seen the shift, and it was horrible before for people of color in Hollywood, right? You had to whiten everything, whiten your last names. It's changed to now, if you are white, you should be ashamed of that. There's something wrong with that. If you're a straight white male, you are the ultimate enemy. The ultimate enemy. So it's like, it's okay to be rude to someone because they don't get it. They have white privilege. And it's like, wait a second, like Ava, you're the one with the privilege. You're the one who's the millionaire. You're the one up there helming huge movies with Oprah and getting accolades and everything. And you're going to talk down to a journalist who's you're an independent woman journalist and be like, no, what you mean to say, and insult you and act like you have the problem. She's the one with the attitude problem. Her color does not excuse that. Her being a woman doesn't excuse that. It doesn't make it right just because someone has been wrong to you in the past. It doesn't make it right to now flip the script. That's my biggest problem with feminism, and you know, in any of these.
There's so much guilt. There's that guilt. It's guilt by default. My mom is an immigrant, so when my mom came from Italy, actually.
Oh, Joy, sister, what's up? My dad's Italian, Argentinian. Well, so when people on your mom's side.
So when people say, you know, oh, the white guilt, the whole thing. I'm like, my mom and her family and my ancestors, they weren't even here.
It looks so poorly on people who are, like you said, the white guilt, the male guilt, the, whatever guilt you want to put. It's such nonsense. It's such childish. I just want to fast forward this part in history. And I wanted to say to you too, Taylor, is, and you're like, oh, I don't even know if Hollywood is like, going to embrace me. You're kind of going down a rabbit hole right now, right? But you're doing what feels good. Do what feels good. You actually don't need them. They need you, is what I mean to say, because you're an independent voice. You're like ears to the ground talking to real people. So you have your followers, you have your listeners, you have your stories to tell. Tell them, girl. You don't need any of those phonies out there. While they can keep, kissing ass, let them kiss ass.
They're on their own planet. And I've talked about it so many times on the show, how out of touch, the Hollywood elite is from real life.
Yeah.
And real people.
I mean, I want to move out of Hollywood. We were kind of talking about that too. Hollywood is just sinking down into the ocean, and
bye, bitch.
Yeah, it's bye, bitch.
To Hollywood. Joy, what do you think about, this is a full circle moment actually, because when I talked to you at the Grammys last year, funny enough, I don't know if you remember this, I asked you what you would envision a Cardi B encounter to look like, because at that point, I don't know if you've met since, but you hadn't met. And I know she's obviously so liberal and for Biden and this whole thing. And here's what you said. I don't know if you remember this, but I actually went in the archives to look at the interview, and you said,
oh my God,
I love Cardi B.
Say?
You said, I love Cardi B. I love her music. We disagree on politics, but that doesn't mean we can't support one another. So with that said, we're flash forward, over a year. Also, Wet Ass Pussy has come out, and a lot of like right-wing conservatives were super uptight about it. So what are your thoughts and feelings on it now?
Well, I would amend that statement, because I don't love her music anymore. I think that Cardi B is really the opposite of me in many ways. And I admire anyone who's successful to an extent, because I'm like, it's not my place to hate on them. Kardashians, people always talk. I'm not going to say I'm going to love on you, but I'm like, it's always criticizing gets a lot of clicks. So I tend to not say negative things. I'd rather say nice things in the press, especially people I don't know. And having seen how Cardi B has been so outspoken and just the ignorance, I'm like, honey child, no. Now, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say I support her right to say what she wants. But that song and everything was poorly written. It was just pure softcore porn, which is like, it's not even being artistic these days. So I am on the side of saying, like, I think it's just trash. But she's going to do that because that's going to get clicks. That's going to make money. And it's shock and awe. And I'm just like, okay, I love sexiness. I love sex appeal. I love a strong woman. But now the song is literally telling you to have sex with a man and get a car. It's not saying build your own business, be a hot bitch and get a car. People look at the lyrics and it's literally teaching prostitution. Use your body to get what you want. But like, suck and fuck these niggas, like tax these niggas, get these guys. Like, it's so debased. And as a Black woman, I see so much of that already in hip hop culture and Black culture from the male side. And again, two wrongs don't make a right. I don't want to hear from guys. I don't want to hear from girls. Like, I'm done with this. I would still love to meet her. I still, bear no personal grudge against her because I don't know her. She's done very well for herself. She's very successful. But I don't like her music anymore.
You know what? Two things. One, I've interviewed everyone under the sun, Joy, you name it. Yeah. Every A-lister, every actor. No one, I don't think, has had the balls like you just did to say, you know what? Yeah, sometimes in the press I sugarcoat and I say I love someone and really I don't want to say anything negative. How many people would ever have the balls to be that transparent?
Thank you. Because that's hard. That last year, I didn't want that to be the news story. I can't say I've always sugarcoated, but I've gone to sugarcoat it. Like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I love them. I respect them. You have to say that, oh, they're doing their thing. I admire them. Now I just call it out because I don't know. I'm 34, 24. I think I'm too old for this shit now, like to be fake. Who cares if they come at me and try to cancel me later, pull a Roseanne Barr or whatever. I'm like, at least I'll go down being honest.
Cancel us, bitch. I was going to start the episode like that. Be like, cancel us. Go. I dare you.
Cancel us. I was so afraid of rocking the boat still. There was like the vestiges of rocking the boat still amongst the celebrity circles. But now I see honestly, most celebrities don't even have that much power. So even if you do shit talk them, first of all, the industry behind them is the one with the power. They don't care. All of the things that people read, the drama, it's all manipulated to sell magazines, you know. None of this has anything to do with real life. But I appreciate you saying that, because it's been for me an ethical thing where writing my book, honestly, during this thing, Kickass Conservative, I get very honest. I get very truthful. Mm-hmm. I talk about I went to rehab. I talk about I used to strip. I talk about things I have never said before.
Joy! Wait a minute. You used to strip.
Yeah.
How does that impact your view on, like, even what you just said, like, this wet ass, that's trash. Putting it all out there, that's trash. See, I would never in a million years know that. Boxes, people. Boxes.
Exactly. That's why I'm honest. I went through a whole conversion. You know, I used to drink. I used to do drugs. I used to party a lot. And that was one of the things, is because I did suffer sexual abuse as a child. You know, the death of my mom. I had a really abusive relationship. I gave a child up for adoption. I'm very pro-life. Thank you. And all of these struggles, I thought, I need to hide. I need to not talk about this, because people are going to think less of me if they know I'm not perfect, which is the irony, right? Like, I get angry too. And people are always, they discover that I cuss in real life, because I don't really cuss a lot. But when I talk to someone I'm comfortable with, or if I'm allowed to, I'll cuss. I'll drop an F-bomb.
I was surprised when you did today. I was surprised because I drop on left, right, and sideways. And even before today, I was like, Taylor, don't be a trailer trash truck driver. Joy is a lady.
Totally. And I love that, because I love being a lady. I love being a feminine woman, and I love the classiness. And it doesn't mean you have to be locked in a box. That's why I always tell women, and that's funny, we talk about boxes. The episode could be like checking the boxes, because it's like, don't be locked in a box. I was going through this real sexual exploration. And I tell you, honey, I say it in my book, I was a trisexual. I would try anything. And that's really, you know, even coming out, like, to say, like, I don't know if I'm really gonna say that I'm straight. I mean, I'm with a man, and I love being with a man, but I never wanted to say I'm bi or I'm this. But I've had relationships with both men and women. But I don't want to use those boxes to be like, oh no, I'm coming out as this, I'm coming out as that, and making it, you know, it's so cringy when the next celebrity comes out, I'm coming out as bisexual. It's like, who cares, bitch? You know, you're married to a dude. Like, no one gives a fuck, right? Like,
it may be 10 years ago. We're obsessed with labels. It's the trendy thing. It's like, oh, I'm fluid. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm that. Just be. Why? Why? You could be a Joy. You could be a Joy. You could be a stripper and then be like, Cardi B's trash. You could be a Taylor and be in Playboy and then write dissertations for huge publications.
Okay, you could have a PhD and have been, you know, a stripper. Like, it doesn't, stop putting yourself in a box. You should be able to express your sexuality and be a sexual being that's healthy, that's natural. But when you are then pushing it to tell somebody, you know, that this is all you deserve, that's wrong. Like, Cardi B was a stripper, but she now, it's like, it's one thing to say, I came from this background, right? If you were like a sex worker, I came from this background. It's another entirely thing to say, and I'm going to tell you, this is the way to make it. I don't have shame in the game, but I remember where I was at when I was stripping, and it's not where I was at now. Everyone wants to get out of the streets, out of the ghetto, and make it and create something beautiful and eventually have a family and have success. So we're selling a lie when we say, oh yeah, you can just do 25 shots a night and, you know, fuck these hoes and crash a Lamborghini and live a great life. Like, all of these, it's now pop, rock, you know, rap, all the musicians and all the actors are selling this life when they're not doing that. They're back at home with their wife and their kids and their dog, you know, doing B1
and shows. Their infinity pool and their mansion and their butler. They're not sleeping on a park bench.
Yeah. I follow that thinking, well, I'm in Hollywood. I'm doing it. Yeah. No, I wasn't. You know, it just cut years off my life and wasted my life. Now I don't do drugs. I'm vegan. I got an amazing hot ass boyfriend who's younger than me. Yeah, I was divorced. I was married and I'm divorced now. And I got a young guy who's amazing, loves me.
You know what, Joy? I was going to ask you about that because
he's independent like you. He's not political. He's just common sense.
Oh, hell yes. First, I want to say that what I love about you and even this conversation is I know that there are things that we are agreeing on and things that we don't have to agree on. Like, for example, you're pro-life. I happen to be pro-choice. Even Cardi B, like, I'm for WAP. Sure, go ahead, show us your labia. But I know that we're gonna respect each other's. This is what's missing right here, everyone. This is what's missing, the dialogue. We're gonna respect each other's points of view and go, okay, you're coming from here, I'm coming from there. We're not gonna go blocked and pull an Ava DuVernay and say, nope, Taylor shouldn't be listened to, Joy shouldn't be listened to.
No discussion.
You're such a figure in the conservative world, especially look at your book, Kickass Conservative. And even what you've shared today,
I'm gonna get some haters on that side. Yeah. And it is a self-help book for conservatives, but it's also a book that I encourage non-conservatives to read, because like you said, we need to open the dialogue. So I also say, what the hell is a conservative? A lot of people have an idea of what it is, and other people have an idea. Is it looking? Is it social? Is it just on taxes? And a lot of people think it's like, is it just Trump? All of these things. So
right.
I do it in a fun, humorous way. And I reveal some shocking things about myself that probably will get me canceled by some conservatives. I don't care. And then the left, of course, is going to get canceled because I am a conservative. But I want everyone to read it, discuss it. If you hate it, that's fine. Pick it up at the library if you can't buy it. I don't care. The ebook is available. It's at joyvilla.com. But if we don't encourage people to write their stories out there and share them and discuss them, like you said, then we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to have a future.
You bust these labels away. Someone wouldn't look at you and think conservative. She was a stripper. When I spoke to you at the Grammys, your husband at the time was an immigrant.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right.
All of these things. And it just shows everybody listening the real complexities and intricacies of somebody that is really holding us back when we are so quick to go, oh, she looks like this, so she thinks A, B, C, D, E. Now, before we go, I want to talk to you about your Alyssa Milano spoof video that went viral, okay? Joy impersonates Alyssa Milano because she's like going at this, like her with her hair, right? Ripping it out and showing her hair and going, this is the effects of COVID. And you spoofed it and it went viral.
I saw her video and I was just like, this person is just trying to get attention and being victim. Wear a damn mask. Like, it's just the whole thing was like a character. If you do spoof funny comedy, there's a chance that people won't get it. And then there's a backlash and you're just like, can you not take a joke, people, right? But people understood it. Some people didn't. And it went viral. It went viral on Twitter and Instagram's blown up. I went on Newsmax to talk about it. And it's simply because it's like her whole demeanor is, I can be a victim. I can say this came from COVID and you can, listen to me. And it's like, celebrities, get off your high horse and get off your both high horse and low horse at the same time. Like, you're both like a hero and a victim. Like, you can't play both parts. Alyssa Milano is somebody that we have such the opposite views, but I would gladly sit down and talk to her because it would be really interesting, because she is very passionate about what she does, but she's so often wrong. And I feel like so often led astray by her emotions that I just wish I'd be like, is there something we can find a ground? There's got to be a circle we can overlap.
So what's interesting is I actually interviewed Alyssa recently. And again, same thing as you, regardless of how you feel about her, I feel like Rose McGowan is a badass bitch because she stands by what she says, regardless of if you agree or not. Consistent. And she's not backing down. So consistent. And so I asked Alyssa, this was like right before COVID hit in the last year. And I don't know what personal thing she had with Rose McGowan, but with Charmed or whatever the fallout. But I asked something about that. Like, you are really vocal. Rose McGowan is really, do you cheer each other? How do you feel whether you agree or not? She just like couldn't be having my shit less. She gave me this like aloof thing and basically walked away from me. So I say that story because of the line in your book where you say, I'm pro-woman, but not pro-feminist. And Alyssa Milano, right, as somebody who is like the face of the Me Too and feminist and all this and all that, you kind of just shit on Rose McGowan to me. So again, which is it? It's all, right, Joy? It's all of this surface level on Twitter. Me Too, yay, rah, rah, this, that. When it comes down to it, when no one's watching, where is it then?
Yeah, that's what true values are. That's what true ethics are. If no one was listening to you out there, if you weren't on TV talking about it, would these values still matter to you? And I think that it's a really good question to ask because we live in such a society where it's so me, us, constant, like, oh, hey guys, I'm just taking a shit. What's up? It's such a, self-obsessed TikTok culture, right? We have to be able to maintain conversation with Alyssa. I had to. And that's why I'm like, I can't be a feminist. This is the modern face of femininity, or not femininity, feminist, feminism. And I'm a very feminine woman, and I'm also pro woman. Like, I'm like, girl power, get it, girl. Women should be able to do whatever the hell they want. Go live your life, be confident. But I skew the label of feminist because that was only happened in the last couple of years. I voted for Trump as a feminist. I thought I was doing the right thing. It's become such a man bashing. It's been such a fellow woman bashing. And now it's like, you can't do anything right. And when we put ourselves in those boxes and those labels, it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you have to be the biggest victim in the world in order to your voice to be allowed. You don't know if you're gay, no, if you're gender queer, in a wheelchair, Black, Native American, he's like, name a bunch of things. So then you can be like, okay, well, their voice needs to be heard. And then they'll get a whole Nike campaign and everyone will be like, oh my God, yes, it'll be amazing. And Gwyneth Paltrow will be like, yes, I interviewed them from Goop. And then everyone will forget about it next month. And that's Hollywood in a nutshell.
Joy, what do you think, like, groupthink? Is it going to just keep...
I think it has to come to a head at some point. I mean, you got out of it. I got out of it. I think people are going to start waking up and going, okay, this is a little too ridiculous. I think really young people, like Generation Z right now, are growing up in it. So this is what they're taught to believe. But a lot of millennials are starting to grow out of this. And I think you start to pay taxes and have your own place. And it's different. You grow up and you go, this is all just nonsense. And I think that young people, I mean a lot of Generation Z kids that are like on the campaign trail and are super hardcore conservatives. It blows my mind to be like 14 and be like loving Trump and knowing all them. They know more about politics than I do. I'm like, damn, I was not like this. There's hope for it. When the dial goes too far this way, it has to go that way at some point.
I know.
So it's crazy.
Pray for the day.
At this point, I'm just tired of all the fakeness, right? It's just too much work to self-edit all the time. Just be real.
That's actually a really good point. It is too much. And I was doing that too when I was doing my interviews and I was still in Hollywood. I was like, okay, what is my editor going to like? What's the celeb? What's going to be the okay thing? And after a while, you're just like, you're right. It takes more work to edit than to just be.
Just to be. And people don't want that fakeness anymore.
To all of you guys watching and listening too, take it from these two bitches right here, right? We might have the repercussions of expressing ourselves, you through your music, your book, me through videos, interviews, what I have to say.
Yeah.
But walk the walk, right? Because I think people are going to hear you say, take the feminism example. People are going to hear you say, oh, she's not a feminist, but you're right. It's become synonymous with topical fake activism and women bashing and all this nasty stuff. That's not what it truly stands for. So I think at the end of the day, and that's what we're doing, calling out these hypocrisies with high profile people in Hollywood and this and that. Walk the walk. Enjoy. You're a testament to that. You could lose everything. You are in the most mainstream liberal group think business there is. And yet look at you doing what you do. You could lose everything. So I think it really comes down at the end of the day, bust out of that box, bitch.
Use your voice. Your voice matters. And, speak it, whether you think it's going to be agreed with or not. So often we look for agreement. Don't seek to be agreed with, because all the best, most radical ideas that changed the world had a fair number of hate and disagreement. Keep going. Don't stop. I used to always say, I don't care if I make it till I'm 50, that's when I'll make it. And, luckily it didn't have to be that long. But even if you are 50, it's never too late to use your voice. If you're 15, it's not too early to use your voice. Research, look at other viewpoints, and then put your opinion and your viewpoints out. Make no apologies for it.
Woo! I love it. And just like that.
Boom!
Thank you. Shaking the titties.
It's
Joy, thank you so much.